A cold wind howled through the high mountain pass, cutting through the thick pine trees like a knife. A shiny black SUV, the kind that cost more than most houses, sat idling on the edge of the lonely road. The engine purred softly, a deep, expensive sound that felt out of place in the wild, frozen silence. The driver's door opened. A tall man stepped out. His name was Silas, and he wore a coat made of fine wool that kept the biting cold away from his skin. He walked around to the back seat, his face hard as stone. He opened the door and unbuckled the small boy sitting there. The boy was named Caleb. He was only 4 years old. "Come on," Silas said. His voice was flat. There was no warmth in it, no fatherly kindness. Caleb looked up with wide, trusting brown eyes. He held a small stuffed lamb tightly against his chest. His lips were a pale shade of blue, and his breathing sounded wet and heavy, like a small whistle every time he inhaled. He shivered as the icy air hit him. "Up," Silas ordered. He grabbed Caleb's thin arm and pulled him out of the car. Caleb stumbled. His legs were weak. He tried to hold onto his father's coat, but Silas brushed his hand away as if it were dirty. He marched the boy to the side of the road, near a large gray rock. The drop-off beyond the rock went down into a valley of shadows and snow. "Dad," Caleb whispered. His voice was tiny. "It hurts to breathe here." Silas didn't look down. He looked at the horizon, his jaw tight. "Stay here," he said. "But it's cold," Caleb said, his teeth starting to chatter. "Are we playing a game?" "Something like that," Silas muttered. "Someone will come for you. Just wait." He turned around. He walked back to the car. The crunch of his expensive leather shoes on the gravel sounded like gunshots in the quiet air. Caleb took a step forward. Panic started to rise in his little chest, making his heart beat in a funny, fluttering rhythm that made him dizzy. "Daddy," he called out. "Don't go. Please." Silas got into the driver's seat. He locked the doors. He didn't look in the rearview mirror. If he looked, he knew he might stop, and he couldn't stop. He had a plan. He had an image to protect. He turned the wheel and the big black car rolled away. Caleb dropped to his knees in the snow. He watched the red brake lights of the car blink once, like a pair of angry eyes, before the vehicle disappeared around the bend. "Dad!" he screamed, but the wind swallowed his voice. He was alone. The cold began to seep into his bones. His chest tightened. He hugged his stuffed lamb and curled into a ball, waiting for the car to come back. But the car did not come back. Before we see what happens to little Caleb, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? Now, let's go back to the beginning to understand how a father could do something so evil to his own flesh and blood. Silas was a man who loved power. In the city below the mountains, his name was on the tallest buildings. He owned companies that built skyscrapers and bridges. He was known as the man who never failed. He liked things to be perfect. He liked strong lines, big numbers, and success. He hated weakness. He had grown up poor, watching his own parents struggle and beg, and he had sworn he would never be like them. He built his world around strength. When he married Esther, a kind woman with a gentle smile, he thought his life was complete. He pictured a son who would be just like him, tall, strong, a captain of industry. A son who would play football and run companies. When Esther told him she was pregnant, Silas was proud. He bragged to his business partners. "An heir is coming," he told them. "A strong boy to take over the empire." But when Caleb was born, the dream cracked. The baby didn't cry loudly like other babies. He made a soft, gasping sound. His skin wasn't pink, it was pale. The doctors rushed around, their faces serious. Silas stood in the corner of the hospital room, his arms crossed, feeling a cold knot of fear in his stomach. Not fear for the baby, but fear for himself. Fear that something was wrong with his creation. A doctor named Luke came to talk to them later. Dr. Luke was a kind man with gray hair and sad eyes. "Your son has a congenital heart condition," Dr. Luke explained gently. "His heart didn't form correctly. It has to work 3 times as hard just to keep him alive. He will be small. He will be weak. He will tire easily. He may need surgeries." Esther cried and held the baby closer, kissing his forehead. "We will love him no matter what," she sobbed. "He is perfect." But Silas looked at the baby and saw only a broken thing. He saw medical bills, not that he couldn't afford them, but he hated what they represented. He saw pity in the eyes of his friends. He saw a son who would never run, never play sports, never look strong in a suit. "Can you fix it?" Silas asked the doctor sharply. "I can pay for the best surgeons." "We can manage it," Dr. Luke said. "But there is no magic fix. He will always be fragile." Silas walked out of the room. That was the day his heart turned to ice. For 4 years, Silas pretended. He bought Caleb toys he couldn't play with. He bought him a baseball bat that was too heavy for him to lift. He grew angry when Caleb couldn't walk up the stairs without stopping to catch his breath. "Stop being lazy," Silas would snap at the toddler. "Silas, he can't help it," Esther would yell, rushing to pick Caleb up. "His heart is racing. Look at his lips. They are blue." "He is coddled," Silas would argue. "You are making him soft. The world eats soft people, Esther." "He is 4 years old," Esther would scream back. "He is not a businessman. He is a little boy." The fights got worse. Silas started staying late at the office. He didn't want to come home and see the oxygen tanks in the living room or the bottles of medicine on the counter. He felt like Caleb's sickness was a stain on his perfect life. People were starting to talk. At parties they would ask, "How is the little one? Still struggling?" Silas hated the pity in their voices. He felt it made him look weak. Then came the day that changed everything. Silas had a meeting with a new investor, a man who talked about survival of the fittest. The man looked at a photo of Caleb on Silas's desk and said, "It's a shame. A legacy ends when the next line is broken." Those cruel words stuck in Silas's head like poison. A broken line. He went home that night and found Esther packing a bag. She was crying. "I need a break," she told him. "My sister is sick in the next town. I need to go help her for a few days. The nurse will come for Caleb during the day. Can you handle the nights?" Silas looked at her, and a dark idea began to form in the back of his mind. A terrible, wicked idea. "Go," he said smoothly. "I will take care of everything. Don't worry about Caleb. I have a plan for him." Esther thought he meant he would finally spend time with his son. She hugged him, relieved. "Thank you, Silas. Maybe this will be good for you too. Maybe you can bond." She left the next morning. As soon as she was gone, Silas canceled the nurse. He walked into Caleb's room. The room was full of soft light. Caleb was sitting on the floor playing with his favorite toy, a stuffed lamb named Barnaby. "Get dressed," Silas said. Caleb looked up, surprised. "Where are we going, Daddy?" "On a trip," Silas said. "An adventure. Just us men." Caleb's face lit up. His father never took him anywhere. He smiled, a beautiful, innocent smile that should have melted Silas's heart. "Can Barnaby come?" "Fine," Silas said. "Bring the toy." He dressed Caleb in a coat, but he didn't grab the extra heavy blanket. He didn't grab the portable oxygen tank. He didn't grab the emergency medicine bag. He just took the boy. They drove for 3 hours. They left the city, passed the suburbs, and started climbing up the winding roads of the Great Mountains. The air got thinner. Caleb started to cough. "Daddy, my chest feels tight," Caleb whispered from the back seat. "We are almost there," Silas said, staring straight ahead. And that led them to the side of the road. To the rock. To the abandonment. Now, hours had passed since the black SUV drove away. The sun was beginning to set behind the peaks, turning the snow a bruised purple color. The temperature was dropping fast. Caleb was no longer standing. He was lying curled up against the rock, trying to hide from the wind. His tears had frozen on his cheeks. His breathing was shallow and fast, a desperate huff 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 sound. His heart was fluttering like a trapped bird beating against a cage. He held the lamb so tight his knuckles were white. "Mommy," he whispered. "Mommy, come get me." His eyes were getting heavy. He felt sleepy, which was a bad sign. It meant the cold was winning. Suddenly, a sound broke the silence. It wasn't the smooth hum of a luxury car. It was a loud, rattling roar. Clank bang vroom. An old, rusty red pickup truck came struggling up the hill. It was a beat-up machine covered in mud and dents. The back was full of tools, spare tires, and scrap metal. Driving the truck was a woman named Martha. Martha was not rich. She wore a greasy flannel shirt and a thick brown jacket that had been patched 3 times. Her hands were rough and stained with engine oil. She was a mechanic who lived in a small cabin further up the mountain. She fixed things that other people threw away. She was tired. It had been a long day of fixing tractors for farmers who paid her in vegetables because they didn't have cash. She just wanted to get home, light her wood stove, and sleep. But as her headlights swept across the curve of the road, she saw something. A lump of color against the gray rock. Blue and red. What in the world? Martha muttered. She squinted. It looked like a pile of clothes. Then the pile moved. Martha slammed on her brakes. The old truck screeched and slid a little on the ice before coming to a halt. She threw the door open and jumped out, her heavy boots crunching on the ground. "Hey!" she shouted. "Hey, is someone there?" She ran toward the rock. When she got close, she gasped. She dropped to her knees, not caring about the wet snow. "Oh dear God," she whispered. It was a child. A tiny boy, blue with cold, barely conscious. "Hey little one," Martha said, her voice shaking. She ripped off her gloves and touched his face. He was freezing like a block of ice. She put her ear to his chest and heard the terrifying rhythm of his heart. Too fast, uneven, struggling. Caleb opened his eyes just a crack. He saw a face above him. It wasn't his father. It was a woman with wild hair and kind eyes. "Angel?" he whispered weakly. "No, baby, I'm Martha," she said, scoping him up in her arms. He felt light, frighteningly light, like a bundle of sticks. "I've got you. I've got you." She ran back to her truck, holding him tight to her body to share whatever warmth she had. She shoved the clutter off the passenger seat and laid him down gently. She pulled a heavy wool blanket from behind the seat, one she used for emergencies, and wrapped him in it like a burrito. She cranked up the heater until the fan was screaming. Then she put the truck in gear and spun the tires, turning around on the narrow road. "Hang on," she told him, her voice fierce. "You hang on, do you hear me? You are not quitting on my watch." She drove like a maniac. The old truck groaned as she pushed it down the mountain roads, taking corners fast. She kept glancing over at the boy. His eyes were closed again. "Talk to me," she shouted. "What's your name, kid?" Caleb's lips moved, but no sound came out at first. Then a tiny whisper. "Caleb. Caleb. Good name." "Strong name," Martha said, gripping the steering wheel so hard her knuckles hurt. "I'm taking you to Dr. Luke. He's the best. He fixes people, I fix trucks. We're going to get you fixed up." It took 20 minutes to get to the small town at the base of the mountain. Martha skidded to a stop in front of the small clinic. She grabbed Caleb and kicked the door of the clinic open. "Luke," she yelled. "Luke, get out here. Emergency." Dr. Luke came running from the back room, a stethoscope around his neck. When he saw the boy in Martha's arms, his face went pale. "Hypothermia," he said instantly. "And listen to that breathing. Get him on the bed. Now." For the next hour, it was a blur of chaos. Martha stood in the corner, twisting her oily cap in her hands, watching as Dr. Luke and his nurse worked. They put warm IVs into Caleb's arm. They put a mask over his face to help him breathe. They wrapped him in heating pads. The sounds of the machines were scary. Beep, 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 beep. "His heart is a mess," Dr. Luke muttered, looking at the monitor. "This isn't just the cold. He has a condition. A bad one. Look at the scarring on his chest from old surgeries." Martha stepped forward. "Did he wander off? Did he get lost?" Dr. Luke shook his head grimly. "A kid this sick doesn't wander up a mountain road like that, Martha. He can barely walk across this room without oxygen. Someone put him there." Martha felt a flash of hot anger in her chest. "Someone left him? Like a piece of trash?" "It looks that way," Dr. Luke said. He touched Caleb's forehead gently. "He's stabilizing. He's a fighter. But we need to find out who he is." Just then Caleb stirred. The warmth was bringing him back. He blinked his eyes open and saw Martha standing there. He reached a shaky hand out from under the blankets. "Did my dad come back?" he asked. His voice was raspy. The room went silent. Martha looked at Dr. Luke. "Who is your dad, son?" Dr. Luke asked softly. "Silas," Caleb whispered. "Silas Thorne. He said he was going to fix everything." Martha's jaw dropped. "Silas Thorne? The billionaire? The guy who owns the city?" Dr. Luke's eyes widened. "That's impossible. Silas Thorne is on the news all the time. He presents himself as the perfect family man." "He left me," Caleb said, a tear leaking out of his eye. "He said I couldn't breathe right. He said waiting is dangerous." Martha felt a rage so pure it almost blinded her. She knew who Silas Thorne was. Everyone did. He was the man who bought up the old factories and fired all the workers to build fancy condos. He was the man who walked around like a king. "He threw him away," Martha growled, "because he was sick." Meanwhile, back in the city, inside a massive glass office, Silas Thorne sat at a mahogany desk. He was holding a glass of expensive whiskey. His hand was shaking just a little bit. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. A shady private investigator answered. "It is done," Silas said. His voice was cold, but his eyes were haunted. "The boy?" the voice on the other end asked. "Gone," Silas said. "I need you to handle the paperwork." "Dr. Luke?" "No, not Luke. Find a corrupt doctor in the city. I need a death certificate. Dated for today. Cause of death, heart failure. Natural causes." "And the body?" the investigator asked. "There is no body," Silas said. "Nature took it. We will have a closed casket funeral. Empty box. Just get the papers done. I want this erased." Silas hung up the phone. He walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. He told himself he had done the right thing. He told himself he had saved the family name. He told himself Caleb was better off gone than suffering. But he didn't know that Caleb wasn't gone. Back in the mountain clinic, Caleb was sleeping now, his breathing steadier. Martha pulled a metal chair up to the side of the bed. She looked at this broken, tossed-aside little boy. She thought about her own empty cabin, her own lonely life. She looked at his little hand clutching the dirty stuffed lamb. "He thinks you're dead," Martha whispered to the sleeping boy. "Or he hopes you are. He thinks he can just write you out of the story." She reached out and gently covered Caleb's small hand with her rough, calloused one. "Well, he's got another thing coming," Martha said, her voice hard as iron. "Because you aren't dying today, Caleb. And you aren't going back to him. You're staying with me. And one day that man is going to see what happens when you try to bury a seed. It grows." Suddenly, the clinic door banged open again. A police officer, Sheriff Boaz, walked in, shaking snow off his hat. "I got a call," Sheriff Boaz said. "Someone said a truck was racing down the mountain like the devil himself was chasing it." "What's going on, Martha?" Martha stood up. She looked at the sheriff, then at Dr. Luke, then at Caleb. She knew that if she told the sheriff the truth, that this was Silas Thorne's son, they might call Silas. And Silas might come back to finish the job, or take the boy to some institution where he would rot. Martha made a split-second decision. A decision that would change all their lives. "I found a boy," Martha lied smoothly. "No ID. No parents. Just a lost kid on the road. He doesn't remember his last name." Dr. Luke looked at her sharply. He knew she was lying. He knew the boy had said Thorne. But Dr. Luke looked at the bruises on Caleb's soul, and then he thought of Silas Thorne's reputation for ruthlessness. Dr. Luke looked at the sheriff. "She's right, Boaz. The boy is in shock. Partial amnesia. We need to keep him here safe. Under the radar. Until he remembers." Sheriff Boaz looked at the boy. "Poor little mite. All right. Martha, you found him, you want to stay with him?" "I ain't leaving him," Martha said. As the sheriff walked out to file a Jane Doe report for a lost child, Martha looked back at Caleb. The boy opened his eyes again. He looked at Martha. "Are you staying?" he asked. "I'm staying, Caleb," she said. "I'm Martha, and I fix things. We're going to fix you up and we're going to make you strong. Strong enough to survive anything." Caleb closed his eyes, feeling safe for the first time in his life. But outside the window, the wind howled again, and far away in the city, Silas Thorne toasted to his loss, believing his secret was buried under the snow. He had no idea that he had just created his own worst nightmare, a son with nothing to lose and a witness who knew the truth. But what would happen when Caleb grew up? Would his heart handle the truth? And how would a poor mechanic's boy ever cross paths with the most powerful man in the city again? The answer lay 12 years in the future, and it was going to be shocking. To find out how Caleb survived and the moment he finally saw his father again, you have to watch the next chapter. It only gets crazier from here. 12 years had passed since the snow covered the tracks of the black SUV. The mountains were just as cold and the wind was just as sharp, but the boy who had been left to die was no longer a helpless child. Caleb was 16 years old now. He was lean and wiry like a rope pulled tight. His hands were always covered in grease, and his fingernails were permanently stained black from engine oil. He stood inside Martha's garage, wiping his forehead with a rag. "Try it now," he shouted over the noise of the heater. Inside a beat-up blue sedan, a farmer turned the key. The engine coughed, sputtered, and then roared to life with a smooth, steady hum. "You're a wizard, Caleb," the farmer yelled, hopping out and shaking Caleb's hand. Nobody else could fix that transmission. Caleb smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. He wiped his hands on his jeans. "Just needed a new belt and some patience, Mr. Simon." As the farmer drove away, Caleb felt a familiar squeeze in his chest. It wasn't pain exactly, but a tightness. a reminder. He leaned against the workbench and took a slow, deep breath. In for 4 seconds. Out for 4 seconds. Dr. Luke had taught him that. Check your rhythm, a voice said from the doorway. Martha stood there. Her hair was grayer now, but she was still as tough as old leather. She watched Caleb like a hawk watches a mouse. I'm fine, Martha, Caleb said, tapping his chest. Engine is still running. Don't push it, she warned. You worked a double shift. Your heart isn't made for double shifts. My heart isn't made for anything, remember? Caleb muttered. He picked up a wrench and started organizing the tools. He hated talking about his heart. He hated that he had to take 3 different pills every morning just to keep his blood moving. He hated that he couldn't run up the mountain trail with the other boys from town. But mostly he hated why he was this way. He walked over to the corner of the shop where a small, dusty television sat on a shelf. It was usually tuned to the Weather Channel so they could see if a storm was coming. But today the news was on. Turn that up, Caleb said softly. On the screen, a man was standing at a podium made of glass. He was wearing a suit that cost more than Martha's entire house. Camera flashes went off like lightning around him. It was Silas Thorne. He looked older. His hair had streaks of silver in it, but his face was still handsome and cold. He was smiling a sad, practiced smile. Behind him was a giant banner that read, "The Caleb Thorne Foundation, Saving Little Hearts." Caleb's hand tightened around the wrench until his knuckles turned white. Welcome, Silas said to the cameras. His voice was smooth like honey. 12 years ago today I lost my only son, Caleb. He was a beautiful boy with a broken heart. I did everything I could to save him. I spent millions, but heaven needed him more. Martha walked over and stood next to Caleb. She crossed her arms. Liar, she hissed. On the TV, Silas wiped a fake tear from his eye. That is why, today, I am donating $10 million to the city hospital. No parent should have to feel the pain I felt. We will build a new wing in honor of my son. The crowd on the TV clapped and cheered. People were crying. They thought Silas was a hero. They thought he was a grieving father who had turned his tragedy into something good. Caleb felt a fire ignite in his stomach. It was hot and angry. He's using my name, Caleb whispered. He threw me in the snow like garbage, and now he's using my name to look like a saint. Turn it off, Martha said gently. It's poison, Caleb. He told Mom I died, Caleb said, his voice shaking. Does she believe him? Is she sitting there crying for me right now? We don't know, Martha said. Caleb, look at me. You are safe here. You have a life here. Don't let him drag you back into that darkness. Caleb turned to look at Martha. I'm not safe, Martha. I'm hidden. There's a difference. I'm a ghost. I fix trucks and I hide in the mountains while he plays king in his tower. He slammed the wrench down on the metal table. The sound rang out like a gunshot. I want to see him, Caleb said. No, Martha said instantly. Absolutely not. He is dangerous, Caleb. If he finds out you are alive, he will lose everything. The lie is the foundation of his whole life now. What do you think a man like Silas does to a loose thread that threatens to unravel his expensive suit? I don't care, Caleb said. I want to look him in the eye. I want him to know I didn't die. He grabbed a crumbled piece of paper from the counter. It was a flyer Dr. Luke had brought in earlier that week. It was for a summer program. The Thorne Young Innovators Internship. Calling all young mechanics and engineers. Come to the city. Learn from the best. Build the future. I'm going to apply, Caleb said. Caleb, you are 16, Martha argued. You have a heart condition. You can't handle the city stress. I fixed a tractor when I was 10, Caleb shot back. I rebuilt an engine when I was 12. I'm the best mechanic in this county. I can handle an internship. Martha looked at him. She saw the little boy she had pulled out of the snow, but she also saw the young man standing before her. He had fire in his eyes. The same stubborn fire that had kept his heart beating on that freezing night. She sighed, a long, defeated sound. You'll need a last name. You can't use Thorne. Shepherd, Caleb said. Caleb Shepherd. Because you found me like a lost sheep. 2 weeks later, the letter arrived. It was a thick envelope with the Thorne Industries logo stamped in gold foil. Caleb's hands shook as he opened it at the kitchen table. Martha stood by the stove, stirring soup, pretending not to look. I got in, Caleb whispered. They accepted me. I start next Monday. The silence in the cabin was heavy. Martha turned off the stove. She walked over and sat down opposite him. She reached across the table and took his hand. Her palms were rough, but her touch was the only softness Caleb had ever known. Listen to me, Caleb Shepherd, she said seriously. The city is not like the mountain. Down there, people lie to your face and smile while they do it. You have to be careful. You have to take your medicine. And you have to promise me one thing. What? Don't let your anger stop your heart, she said. Revenge is a heavy stone to carry. It can crush you. I'm not going for revenge, Caleb lied. I'm just going for the truth. The bus ride to the city took 4 hours. Caleb sat by the window, watching the trees disappear and be replaced by concrete and steel. The buildings got taller and taller until they blocked out the sun. The city was loud. Horns honked, sirens wailed, and millions of people rushed around like ants. The air smelled of exhaust fumes and hot asphalt. Caleb coughed, his chest tightening immediately. He reached into his pocket and touched the small pill bottle. Just breathe. He got off the bus at the central station. He had a small bag with his clothes and his tools. He walked 10 blocks to the address on his acceptance letter. And there it stood, the Thorne Tower. It was a monster of a building. 50 stories of blue glass that reflected the clouds. It looked like a giant needle piercing the sky. It was beautiful and it was terrifying. This was the castle the wicked king had built. Caleb stood on the sidewalk, craning his neck to look up. He felt dizzy. Hey, you the new intern? A voice called out. Caleb jumped. A boy about his age was standing near the glass doors. He had curly hair and a friendly grin. I'm Thomas, the boy said. I'm in the engineering program too. You look like you've never seen a building before. I haven't, Caleb admitted. Not like this. It's a beast, ain't it? Thomas laughed. Come on. Orientation starts in 10 minutes. You don't want to be late for the king. The king? Caleb asked. Silas Thorne, Thomas whispered, leaning in. They say he's coming to welcome us personally. He never does that. We're lucky. Caleb's heart gave a violent thump. He's coming. They walked through the revolving doors. The lobby was freezing cold, air-conditioned to feel like a refrigerator. The floors were marble, so polished Caleb could see his own reflection in them. He looked at his reflection, a mountain boy in cheap clothes standing in a palace. Security guards in black suits checked their IDs. Caleb handed over his fake ID that Sheriff Boaz had helped him make years ago for school. Caleb Shepherd, the guard grunted. He scanned the card. The light beeped green. Go ahead. Caleb let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He was in. The enemy was inside the walls. They were led into a massive auditorium. The seats were made of plush velvet. There were about 50 interns, all looking nervous and excited. They were the smartest kids from all over the state. Caleb sat in the back row, trying to make himself invisible. The lights dimmed. Dramatic music started playing. A screen descended from the ceiling, showing images of rockets, bridges, and hospitals. Then a spotlight hit the stage. Silas Thorne walked out. In person, he was even more intimidating than on TV. He was tall and moved with a predator's grace. He didn't look like a man, he looked like a statue come to life. The room went dead silent. Welcome, Silas said. His voice didn't need a microphone to reach the back of the room. You are here because you are the best. The world is full of problems. Broken engines, broken systems, broken people. Caleb flinched. At Thorne Industries, we do not accept broken things, Silas continued, pacing the stage. We fix them or we replace them. We strive for perfection. My son. He paused for effect. The room held its breath. My son Caleb did not have the chance to change the world. He was taken from me too soon. But you have that chance. You are my legacy now. Caleb felt sick. The bile rose in his throat. It was all a performance. Every word was a calculated lie designed to make people love him. Silas didn't care about these kids. He just wanted their brains to make him more money. Now, Silas said, clapping his hands. I want to see who I have hired. Light the house. The house lights flooded the room, blindingly bright. I want to look you in the eyes, Silas said. He stepped down from the stage. He began walking up the aisle, shaking hands with the interns in the front row. Caleb's heart began to hammer. Bump, 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 bump. It was too fast. His vision started to swim. He needed to leave. He needed air. But he couldn't move. He was frozen. Silas was moving closer. He was charming, laughing, shaking hands. He was 3 rows away. 2 rows away. Thomas, sitting next to Caleb, nudged him. Dude, he's coming right here. Caleb pulled his baseball cap down lower. Don't look at me. Just walk past. Silas reached their row. He shook Thomas's hand. Good to have you, son, Silas said. Then Silas turned to Caleb. Caleb kept his head down, staring at Silas's polished leather shoes. The same shoes that had crunched on the gravel 12 years ago. And you? Silas asked. What is your name? Caleb didn't answer. He couldn't trust his voice. Look at me when I speak to you, young man, Silas said. His voice dropped. It wasn't the friendly TV voice anymore. It was the cold, commanding voice from the mountain. Slowly, painfully, Caleb lifted his head. He looked straight into the eyes of his father. For a second, time stopped. The noise of the room faded away. It was just the two of them. Silas's smile faltered. His eyes narrowed. He scanned Caleb's face, the shape of his jaw, the curve of his nose, the deep brown eyes. A flicker of confusion crossed Silas's face. Then a shadow of recognition. It wasn't possible. The boy was dead. He had the death certificate in his safe. But this boy, he looked like a ghost. What is your name? Silas whispered. The microphone caught the whisper, and it echoed through the silent room like a thunderclap. Caleb swallowed hard. He felt his heart skip a beat, then two. He clenched his fists to stop them from shaking. Caleb, he said. Silas flinched as if he had been slapped. His face went pale. Caleb. Caleb Shepherd, Caleb added quickly, his voice gathering strength. I'm a mechanic. From the mountains. Silas stared at him. His eyes were wide, searching, calculating. He looked at Caleb's chest, watching the rapid rise and fall of his breathing. He saw the faint blue tint of Caleb's lips. The air in the room was thick with tension. Thomas looked back and forth between them, confused. Silas took a step closer, invading Caleb's personal space. He smelled of expensive cologne and cold mint. He leaned in, his voice barely a breath. You look very familiar, Mr. Shepherd, Silas said softly. Do you have family in the city? No, Caleb said, holding his gaze. My father left a long time ago. I don't have a family. Silas held the stare for one more second, then two. His eyes were cold like shark eyes. He was analyzing, processing. Suddenly, Silas's smartwatch beeped loudly. He blinked, breaking the trance. He straightened up, smoothing his suit jacket. The mask of the friendly CEO slid back into place, but his eyes remained wary. Well, Silas said stiffly. Welcome to Thorne Industries. Work hard. I will be watching you closely. He turned and walked away, but he didn't walk with his usual confident stride. He walked quickly, stiffly, like a man who had just seen a monster. Caleb sank back into his chair. He was trembling from head to toe. He grabbed his chest, gasping for air. Whoa, are you okay? Thomas asked. You look like you're gonna pass out. That was intense. I need water, Caleb wheezed. As Thomas scrambled to get a water bottle from his bag, Caleb watched Silas exit the auditorium. Just before Silas walked through the double doors, he stopped. He looked back over his shoulder, straight at the back row. Straight at Caleb. He pulled his phone out of his pocket and dialed a number. Caleb knew that look. He had seen it when he was 4 years old. It was the look of a man making a plan to get rid of a problem. Caleb took a sip of water, his hands shaking so much he spilled it down his shirt. He had done it. He was inside. But now the dragon knew he was there. And the dragon was awake. The bathroom mirror was spotless, but the face staring back at Caleb was pale and terrified. He splashed cold water on his cheeks, gasping for air. His heart was galloping like a runaway horse. Thump, thump, thump. He fumbled in his pocket for his medicine bottle, shaking 2 pills into his hand and swallowing them dry. Caleb? You in there? It was Thomas. Caleb took a deep breath, forcing his lungs to expand. Count to 4. Yeah, Caleb said, his voice raspy. Just washing up. He dried his face with a paper towel and walked out. Thomas was leaning against the wall, looking worried. Man, you turned white as a sheet back there, Thomas said. And the way Mr. Thorne looked at you, it was like he saw a ghost. Do you know him? Caleb tightened his grip on his backpack strap. No, just nerves. It's a big building. Weird, Thomas muttered. Well, come on. We got our assignments. We're in the basement. Building maintenance and systems. Caleb felt a tiny bit of relief. The basement was good. The basement was far away from the penthouse office where Silas Thorne sat like a spider in a web. In the basement, Caleb could hide. For the next 3 days, Caleb tried to be invisible. The basement of Thorne Tower was like a city underground. It was full of massive pipes, humming generators, and wires as thick as snakes. It was hot and loud, and Caleb loved it. It smelled like oil and metal, just like Martha's garage. While the other interns were upstairs wearing ties and sitting in boring meetings, Caleb was down below in grease-stained coveralls. He was a genius with machines. When the main air conditioning unit for the lobby started making a grinding noise, the head mechanic, a grumpy man named Gideon, couldn't figure it out. "It's the bearings," Gideon growled. "We need to order a whole new unit. It'll take weeks." Caleb walked over. He listened to the machine. He put his hand on the metal casing and felt the vibration. "It's not the bearings," Caleb said quietly. "It's the alignment pin on the fan. It's loose." Gideon laughed. "And how would you know that, kid? You're just an intern." "Give me a wrench," Caleb said. Gideon rolled his eyes but handed him the tool. Caleb climbed up the side of the massive machine. He found the tiny pin hidden deep inside the mechanism. It was wobbling just a fraction of an inch. He tightened it. Then he adjusted the tension on the belt. "Turn it on," Caleb called out. Gideon flipped the switch. The machine roared to life, but this time the grinding noise was gone. It hummed perfectly. Gideon's jaw dropped. "Well, I'll be blessed," he muttered. "Where did you learn that?" "My mom," Caleb said, thinking of Martha. "She fixes everything." For a moment, Caleb felt proud. He felt strong. But the feeling didn't last. As he climbed down from the machine, he looked toward the service elevator. A man was standing there. He was wearing a gray suit and dark sunglasses, even though they were underground. He wasn't doing anything. He was just watching Caleb. Caleb froze. It was the same man he had seen whispering to Silas after the orientation. Silas's private security. The dragon was watching. Later that afternoon, Caleb went to the employee cafeteria on the 10th floor to grab a sandwich. He sat in a corner, hoping to eat quickly and get back to the safety of the basement. "Is this seat taken?" Caleb looked up. A girl was standing there. She had bright red hair tied back in a messy bun and glasses that kept sliding down her nose. Her name tag read Sarah, Archives. "It's free," Caleb said. Sarah sat down and dropped a heavy stack of files on the table with a thud. She looked exhausted. "If I have to sort one more file from 1990, my brain is going to melt," Sarah groaned. She took a bite of an apple. "I'm Sarah. You're the mechanic kid, right? The one who fixed the AC. News travels fast," Caleb said. "In this building? Secrets travel faster than light," Sarah said. She lowered her voice. "Especially the bad ones." Caleb stopped chewing. "What do you mean?" Sarah leaned in. "I work in the archives. The basement below your basement. That's where they keep all the old paper records. Silas Thorne loves his secrets. I see things. Old deals, paid off lawsuits. This shiny tower is built on a lot of dirt." Caleb's heart skipped. "Do they keep family records down there?" Sarah looked at him curiously. "Maybe." "What? You looking for dirt on the king?" "No," Caleb lied quickly. "Just curious." Sarah adjusted her glasses. "You know, it's funny you ask. Yesterday, Mr. Thorne's personal assistant came down. She demanded a specific box from 12 years ago, the year his son died." Caleb felt the blood drain from his face. "Did she take it?" "No," Sarah said. "That's the weird part. The box was empty. The file was gone. Someone had already taken it." Caleb's mind raced. If the file was gone, Silas must have it. He was looking at the old records. He was comparing the dates. He was checking the medical history. "Are you okay?" Sarah asked. "You look like you're going to be sick." "I have to go," Caleb said, standing up abruptly. "I forgot to check a pressure valve." He threw his unfinished sandwich in the trash and rushed to the elevator. He pressed the button for the basement, his hands shaking. He needed to leave. He needed to call Martha. He needed to run. But the elevator didn't go down. Instead, the lights on the panel flickered. The button for the penthouse lit up all by itself. The doors closed. The elevator shot upward. "No," Caleb whispered. He jabbed the open door button, but it didn't work. The elevator was being controlled remotely. He was being summoned. The elevator rose higher and higher. 20th floor. 30th floor. 40th floor. His ears popped. His heart began to flutter. Flutter, thump, flutter. Ding. The doors opened on the 50th floor. It was quiet up here. The carpet was thick and soft. The walls were made of glass, showing a terrifying view of the city far below. Dark clouds were gathering on the horizon, thick and black. The storm was coming. "Mr. Shepherd," a smooth voice said. Silas Thorne was standing by the window, his back to Caleb. He turned around slowly. He held a manila folder in his hand. "Come in," Silas said. "Sit down." Caleb walked into the massive office. His legs felt like jelly. He sat in a leather chair that felt too big for him. "You are a talented young man," Silas said, placing the folder on his desk. "Gideon tells me you have a gift with machines. He says you listen to them." "I just like to fix things," Caleb said, his voice tight. "I like to fix things too," Silas said. He sat on the edge of his desk, looking down at Caleb. "But some things are harder to fix than engines. Some things keep coming back to haunt you." Silas tapped the folder. "I did some digging, Caleb. Shepard is a nice name. But there is no record of a Caleb Shepard being born in this state 16 years ago. In fact, your social security number seems to belong to a boy who died in a car crash in Ohio." Caleb stopped breathing. Sheriff Boaz had bought that number from a forger. It was supposed to be untraceable. I was adopted," Caleb stammered. "Paperwork gets lost. Does it?" Silas asked. He stood up and walked closer. 12 years ago I had a son. He was sick. Very sick. He had a condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. It's rare. Very rare." Silas leaned in, his eyes drilling into Caleb's skull. "Do you know what the symptoms are, Caleb?" "Shortness of breath. Blue lips when it's cold. An irregular heartbeat." Caleb instinctively put a hand over his chest. He couldn't help it. "Why are you clutching your chest, son?" Silas whispered. The word son sounded like a curse. "I have asthma," Caleb lied. "It's just asthma." "Is it?" Silas smiled, but it was a cruel smile. "Then you won't mind a simple medical check. For the internship insurance, of course. We need to make sure all our employees are healthy. I have a doctor waiting in the clinic right now." Caleb stood up. "I don't want a doctor. I want to go back to work." "Sit down," Silas barked. The power in his voice cracked like a whip. Caleb sat. "You are hiding something," Silas said, pacing around the chair. "I saw your face at the orientation. I saw the hate in your eyes. And I see the fear now. Who sent you? Was it a competitor? Are you a spy sent to destroy my reputation?" Silas didn't believe Caleb was his son. Not really. He thought Caleb was a fake, an actor hired to pretend to be his dead son to blackmail him. Because in Silas's mind, his son had to be dead. If his son was alive, then Silas was a monster. And Silas refused to believe he was a monster. "Nobody sent me," Caleb said. "I just wanted a job." "Liar." Silas slammed his hand on the desk. Suddenly the room flashed white. Boom. A massive crack of thunder shook the entire building. The storm had arrived. Rain slammed against the glass windows like bullets. The lights in the office flickered and died, leaving them in gray gloom. The emergency lights kicked on, casting eerie red shadows across the room. "Sir." Silas's assistant burst through the door. "The storm. It's a flash flood warning. The river has burst its banks. The lower levels are flooding. The city has ordered a total lockdown. No one enters, no one leaves." Silas looked at the window. The rain was torrential. It was a wall of water. "We are trapped," the assistant said. Silas looked back at Caleb. A strange look crossed his face. A look of opportunity. "Trapped?" Silas repeated softly. "Good." He dismissed the assistant with a wave of his hand. "Go. Secure the building." When the door closed, Silas looked at Caleb in the red emergency light. "It seems we have plenty of time now, Caleb," Silas said. "The building is locked. The power is flickering. No one is coming in. And you aren't going anywhere until I get the truth." Caleb's heart was hammering so hard it hurt. Thump, thump, pause, thump. He felt dizzy. The stress was too much. "I need my medicine," Caleb gasped. He reached for his pocket. Silas reached out and grabbed Caleb's wrist. His grip was like iron. "What is this?" Silas asked. He snatched the bottle from Caleb's hand. He held it up to the dim light. He read the label. Digoxin. Silas froze. He knew that drug. He had paid for bottles of it 12 years ago. It was heart medication. Strong heart medication. Silas looked from the bottle to Caleb. His face crumbled. The anger vanished, replaced by pure shock. "This is for heart failure," Silas whispered. You aren't a spy." Caleb pulled his wrist free. He grabbed the bottle back, his hands shaking violently. He fumbled to get the lid off, but his fingers were numb. He dropped the bottle. The pills scattered all over the expensive carpet. "No," Caleb moaned. He dropped to his knees trying to pick them up. But his vision was blurring. The room was spinning. "My chest," Caleb gasped. He fell forward onto his hands. The air in the room felt like it had been sucked out. Silas stood there paralyzed. He watched the boy on the floor, the boy with the grease-stained hands and the blue lips. "Caleb," Silas whispered. "You all left me," Caleb wheezed, his face pressed against the carpet. "You left me, on the rock." The truth hit Silas harder than the thunder outside. It wasn't a scam. It wasn't a trick. The boy dying on his rug was the boy he had abandoned in the snow. And now the storm had locked them in together. Silas looked at the door. He could call for help. He could call the paramedics. But if he did, the world would know. They would see the boy. They would ask questions. The DNA would match. His lie would be exposed. His empire would crumble. But if he did nothing, if he just waited, the boy was having a heart attack. Nature was finishing the job Silas had started 12 years ago. Silas looked down at Caleb, who was gasping for air, reaching out a hand for help. "Dad," Caleb whispered. The lights flickered again and went out completely. They were in total darkness. Outside, the floodwaters rose against the glass doors of the lobby, sealing the exits. Inside the penthouse, a father stood over his son in the dark, and a terrible choice hung in the air. Save him and lose everything? Or let him die and keep the secret forever? The darkness in the penthouse was thick and heavy, like a blanket made of ink. Outside, the storm raged, throwing rain against the glass walls. Inside, the only sound was the terrifying, ragged gasping of a 16-year-old boy dying on the floor. Silas Thorne stood frozen. His hand was hovering in the air. In his mind, he saw two paths. Path 1, do nothing. Step back. Let the darkness hide his sin. If Caleb died here, Silas could say he broke in. He could say the intruder had a heart attack. The secret would die and his empire would be safe. Path 2, save him. And lose everything. "Dad." Caleb wheezed again. The sound was wet like water in a broken pipe. That one word pierced Silas's heart. It wasn't an angry word. It was a plea. It was the same voice that had begged him not to leave on the mountain 12 years ago. Silas squeezed his eyes shut. He saw the face of the baby he had held in the hospital. He saw the trust in the eyes of the 4-year-old on the roadside. "I'm not a murderer," Silas thought. "I am a builder. I fix things." With a roar of frustration, Silas dropped to his knees. He didn't care about his expensive suit pants ripping. He crawled frantically across the carpet, his hands sweeping back and forth in the dark. "Where are they?" Silas shouted. "Where are the pills?" His fingers brushed against something small and hard. A pill. Then another. He grabbed them. He crawled to Caleb. He could feel the heat coming off the boy's body. Caleb was trembling violently. "Open your mouth," Silas commanded. His voice broke. "Caleb, open your mouth." He pried Caleb's jaw open and shoved the pills inside. "Swallow? You have to swallow." Caleb choked. He couldn't do it. His throat was closing up. "No, no, no," Silas panicked. He grabbed the water bottle Thomas had given Caleb earlier, which had rolled under the desk. It was empty. Silas looked around wildly. He remembered the decorative vase on his desk with fresh flowers. He grabbed it, ripped the flowers out, and tipped the vase to Caleb's lips. "Drink." Water spilled over Caleb's chin, soaking his shirt, but he managed to gulp some down. The pills went down. But it wasn't enough. Caleb's chest was barely moving. His heart was fluttering like a dying moth. Silas scrambled to the wall behind his desk. He punched a code into a hidden panel. 1-9-8-0. The year he started his company. The panel slid open. Inside was a survival kit. Silas was a paranoid man. He was prepared for earthquakes, fires, and riots. He pulled out a portable oxygen tank and a mask. He twisted the valve. Yes. He pressed the mask over Caleb's face. "Breathe," Silas whispered. He was crying now. Hot tears ran down his face, mixing with the sweat. "Breathe, you stubborn boy. Don't you dare die on me. Not again." For 5 minutes, the only sound was the hiss-huff of the oxygen machine. Silas held Caleb's head in his lap, rocking back and forth. Slowly, very slowly, the rhythm changed. Caleb's breathing grew deeper. The violent shaking stopped. His heart rate, though still fast, began to find a steady beat. The emergency lights in the hallway flickered on, casting a dim red glow into the office. Caleb opened his eyes. He looked up. He saw the red light. He saw the oxygen mask. And he saw Silas Thorne, the king of the city, looking down at him with terror in his eyes. Caleb reached up and pulled the mask off. "Why?" Caleb rasped. Silas slumped back against the desk, exhausted. "Because," Silas said, his voice hollow. "Because I couldn't do it twice." You hate me," Caleb whispered. No, Silas said. He looked at his hands. I don't hate you. I hate myself. I looked at you when you were a baby and I saw my own fear. I saw something I couldn't control. So I tried to throw it away. Caleb sat up slowly, leaning against the wall. He felt weak, but the fire in his chest had cooled to a dull ache. You are weak, Caleb said. The words were simple, but they hit Silas like stones. You have all this money. You built this tower. But you are weaker than me. I survived the snow. I survived the cold. You couldn't even survive being a father. Silas nodded. He didn't argue. You are right. Suddenly, a siren began to wail. It wasn't the police. It was the building's internal alarm. A robotic voice echoed through the vents. Warning. Fire detected on level 20. Smoke rising. Evacuate immediately. Silas stood up and ran to the window. Smoke was billowing up from the side of the tower. The lightning storm had struck the building. The flood had shorted out the sprinklers in the basement. The tower was burning from the middle up. We have to go, Silas said. The smoke will fill the vents in 10 minutes. I can't walk down 50 floors, Caleb said. My legs won't work. Silas looked at the boy. He looked at the door. The elevators were dead. The only way out was the stairs. 50 floors. Silas took off his expensive suit jacket and threw it on the floor. He rolled up his sleeves. I know, Silas said. He walked over to Caleb. He bent down and scooped the boy up into his arms. Caleb was 16, but he was light, kept thin by his illness. Still, he was a heavy burden for a man who sat at a desk all day. Put me down, Caleb protested weakly. You can't carry me. I carried you out of the car to leave you, Silas grunted, walking toward the door. I am going to carry you out of this building to save you. They entered the stairwell. It was hot and smelled of ozone and burning plastic. The red emergency lights painted the concrete walls in the color of blood. Step, step, step. Floor 49. You told everyone I died, Caleb said, his head resting against Silas's shoulder. I lied, Silas said, breathing hard. It was easier than the truth. Floor 40. Silas's arms were burning. His back ached. Sweat poured into his eyes. Martha saved me, Caleb said. She has grease under her fingernails. She is poor, but she is rich inside. I know, Silas gasped. I owe her everything. 4:30. The smoke was getting thicker. It burned their throats. Silas stumbled. He fell to one knee, banging his shin hard against the concrete. Leave me, Caleb coughed. Save yourself. That's what you do, right? You save yourself. Silas looked at Caleb. He saw the blue tint returning to the boy's lips. Not today, Silas growled. He stood up. He tightened his grip. He forced his legs to move. He thought about every dollar he had made, every deal he had signed. None of it mattered. The only thing that mattered was the weight in his arms. Floor 20. The heat was intense. The fire was close. They could hear the crackle of flames on the other side of the fire door. Hold your breath, Silas ordered. He ran past the hot door, moving as fast as he could. Floor 10. Silas's legs were shaking uncontrollably. His vision was tunneling. He was going to collapse. He couldn't make it. Come on, Silas, he screamed in his head. Be strong. Be the strong man you pretended to be. Floor 1. He burst through the final door into the lobby. The lobby was flooded with 3 inches of water. The glass doors had been shattered by firefighters. Outside, the storm was breaking. Red and blue lights flashed everywhere. Ambulances, fire trucks, and news vans clogged the street. Silas Thorne stumbled out into the cool, wet air. He fell to his knees on the wet pavement, but he did not let go of Caleb. Help! Silas screamed. His voice was raw. Help him! Paramedics rushed forward. They took Caleb from his arms. They put an oxygen mask on his face. They loaded him onto a stretcher. Wait! A woman's voice screamed. Martha broke through the police line. She was soaked to the bone, her hair plastered to her face. She ran to the stretcher. Caleb, she cried. She grabbed his hand. Caleb opened his eyes. He smiled weakly behind the mask. Hey Martha. I told you, the engine is still running. Martha sobbed and kissed his forehead. Then she stood up and turned around. Silas was still kneeling on the ground. He was wet, dirty, and shivering. He looked nothing like a king. He looked like a broken man. Martha marched over to him. She raised her hand and slapped him across the face. Smack. It was a hard slap. It echoed. That is for 12 years ago, Martha spat. Silas didn't flinch. He nodded. I deserved that. The cameras were rolling. The news crews had seen Silas Thorne carrying a boy out of the burning tower. They saw the slap. They rushed forward, microphones thrust in his face. Mr. Thorne. Mr. Thorne. Who is the boy? Is he an intern? Why did that woman slap you? Silas looked at the cameras. He looked at the flashing lights. He looked at the ambulance where Caleb lay. He could lie. He could say Caleb was just an employee. He could say Martha was a crazy woman. He could spin the story. He had the money to make this go away. But then he looked at Caleb. The boy was watching him from the stretcher. Waiting. Silas stood up. He straightened his torn shirt. He looked directly into the lens of the nearest camera. His name is Caleb Thorne, Silas said loud and clear. He is my son. The reporters gasped. But, your son died 12 years ago. No, Silas said. My son didn't die. I abandoned him. The silence on the street was heavier than the storm. I left him on a mountain because he was sick, Silas continued, tears streaming down his face. I was a coward. I lied to the world. I lied to his mother. This woman. He pointed to Martha. She is the hero. She raised him. She saved him. I am the criminal. He held out his hands to the nearest police officer. Arrest me, Silas said. The officer hesitated, then stepped forward and clicked the handcuffs onto the wrists of the most powerful man in the city. 1 year later, the sun was shining on the mountains. The air was crisp and clean, smelling of pine needles. In front of Martha's garage, a brand new sign hung over the door. Shepherd and Son Repairs. Caleb was under the hood of a pickup truck. He was humming a tune. He stood up and wiped his hands on a rag. He looked healthy. His cheeks were pink. He still took his medicine and he still had to rest, but he was happy. Hey, Caleb. Martha called from the porch. You have a visitor. Caleb walked out. A car had pulled up. A woman stepped out. It was Esther, his biological mother. She came every Sunday. They were getting to know each other slowly. It was hard and there were a lot of tears, but they were building a bridge. Hi, Mom, Caleb said. I brought apple pie, Esther smiled. And I have a letter. She handed Caleb a white envelope. It had a stamp from the state penitentiary. Caleb took it. He sat down on the porch steps. He opened it. Dear Caleb, the cell is small, but for the first time in my life I feel free. I don't have to pretend anymore. I don't have to hide. I work in the prison library. I fix the books when the bindings break. It's not engines, but it's fixing things. I think about you every day. I think about the weight of you in my arms on the stairs. It was the heaviest burden I ever carried, but it was the only one that mattered. Martha came to visit me. She yelled at me for 20 minutes, then she gave me a cookie. She is a good woman. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know that I am proud of you. Not because you are smart or because you can fix machines, but because you are strong in the places where I was weak. Your father, Silas. Caleb folded the letter. He looked out at the mountain peaks. He looked at the road where he had been left behind so long ago. He didn't feel angry anymore. The anger had burned away in the fire of the tower. He just felt peace. He stood up and walked back to the garage. He picked up his wrench. Martha, he yelled. Start the engine. The truck roared to life. It was a loud, messy, beautiful sound. The end. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel to support our growth. We have many more amazing stories coming soon.